So, leaving that, over the past couple of days, a lot of information has been, flying around, and I think my own perspective to this is that I think we need to be more introspective, in the sense that when issues like this happen in Nigeria, we try to sensationalize it, The media has a lot of role to play to call on responsible government agencies like the NUC, for instance, and the evaluation unit of the Ministry of Education, and as well as the NYC on the part. Sincerely speaking, NYC on the part has been quite progressive in this regard. However, we need to shed more light on the activities of the evaluation unit of the Ministry of Education, and as well as the National University Commission. Now, immediately this happened, and the Ministry of Education set up a committee. NUC released a bulletin. That bulletin was purportedly, it's going around blogs as if it happened in 2024. No, NUC did not shut down any institution in 2024. That was an incident that happened in 2016. And if we are to move forward, as I said, that we should be more introspective here, the media must press hard on these agencies to do their job well. Because in the middle of all this, we have innocent tens of thousands of Nigerian students with parents who are citizens of Nigeria who are looking for the right course with the right intention to access tertiary education either within Nigeria or outside of Nigeria, which is not a bad thing anyway.
The document that the NUC put out,
yes.
The one that I believe that you're talking about, is dated January 4th. 2024.
But I'm telling you.
Just I'm not sure that that's the correct one. Yeah. There's a bulletin they put out. Okay, yes. This is it.
So it's 4th January.
No, 25th December, actually.
Okay.
2023, 25th December 2023.
Okay.
That's when this one is purportedly put out.
Okay.
You said it's not current?
It's not current. I can put my money on it that it's not current. And I sent a link here later on.
Well,
that was dated June 2016.
Yes.
Let me tell you, sir. In 2016, I was the president of NANS in Ghana. Okay. And we were involved because 3 Ghanaian institutions were mentioned. Unfortunately, those institutions mentioned, there are no connection to Ghana at all. There were some unscrupulous elements who are probably Nigerians, of course, who were running those centers illegally within the Nigerian territory. Now, the point I'm making is that when we put some of this information out there, in the midst of this chaos, clarity is needed. Clarity for guidance for innocent Nigerians, with genuine intentions, mind you. I agree with the Minister of Education that said that those who try to go to Benin or to go to procure, they are criminals. Yes. However, we must acknowledge the fact that there are innocent, tens of thousands of Nigerian school leavers who are going out there to Kenya, to Uganda, to Ghana. I mean, Ghana is like an educational hub in West Africa. I'm proud to have my first and second, third degree in Ghana. I'm a proud of Dakar Business School as well. And University of Cape Coast that was involved, according to THE World University, is #1 ranked university in West Africa. I don't want Nigeria to be caught up with unnecessary issue with different countries because we are lampooning on the integrity of those institutions right here in Nigeria because the news went viral and it has gone global. I'm telling you that the bulletin by NUC has been published in Ghana and the university had to respond and told them that it's fake news completely.
Well, on that particular document that you're talking about, it's actually very interesting because I looked at the 2 documents, the one published in 2016 and the one published in December 25, 2023. A few changes were noticed. Like, for instance, there's a Sunday at Dokpala University somewhere.
Yeah,
it's not on the 2023 list.
Yeah.
There's the West African Union University. It is not on the 2023 list. Gospel Missionary Foundation is not on the. Well, there are those
little differences there. But the way the news went viral, it was as if it was newly done, and that news overrides that of Benin Republic and Togo, and the committee work that the ministry are given responsibility for them to do. So the point is that the media has a lot of role to play here to ensure that you take responsibility, take charge in shaping the narrative rightly, also to protect those innocent young Nigerians. And the narrative that maybe it's not a sin to go outside the country and study. People go to the US or whatever, but the NUC is charged with the responsibility to ensure that if any foreign organization is coming to establish campus in Nigeria, goes through the NUC and is approved as such. And the media also help in publicizing some of these events. In Ghana, for instance, let me put it that way. There's an organization like the NUC equivalent in GTEC, Ghana Tertiary Education Commission in Ghana. It is very difficult in Ghana to operate 6 months without being detected in the system. And the citizens are also well informed. It's very difficult for Ghana to fall prey of all this mushroom or illegal operation of all these foreign institutions. So right here in Nigeria as well, NUC, what I thought NUC should be doing right now is to partner with the media to sensitize our people about the protocols and about the establishment of the commission, establishment of the Ministry of Education, and their roles and what to do, and to sensitize innocent Nigerians, because we know that universities in Nigeria cannot accommodate all the school leavers available in this country.
Okay, so, perhaps this is part of the reason for this conversation that we're having.
It's causing more confusion than clarity.
Okay.
That's where the media should come in to clarify.
What is causing confusion now?
The bulletin by the NUC.
Well, the bulletin by the NUC, the 2023 and
2016 that was reprinted again this time.
You know, they don't have much difference.
I see.
You know,
yeah,
because of about five
institutions, which are Nigerians.
Okay.
Nigeria owned.
Now, what is instructive about the current brouhaha, so to speak, is that someone was able to procure a certificate in a university in Benin Republic within 6 months, an extremely short time. And he was also able to use the same certificate to enroll for the NYSC in Nigeria. That is the issue, and it is something that is troubling anyone.
Exactly.
What do you think happened in that regard, particularly in the Benin Republic?
It's quite unfortunate, and that's why I said earlier on that we need collaborations among even the government agencies. Because for NYSC, we've tried severally to engage the NYSC, even for Ghana. And over time, the Ministry of Education, the NYSC's job to try and conduct tests, they make life so unbearable. And the journalists from New Nigerian affirmed the fact that it was difficult through the NYSC process. What they made the foreign trade graduate go through, it's an uphill task to get verified, I mean, before you go through the service. However, the lapses there, the technicality as far as the thumbprint biometric is concerned, is something that needs to be looked into. Because I believe, I had my own process as well, and I believe that once you have a fingerprint captured, if you come back again, irrespective of having different email or phone number, technology should be able to detect that, oh, Kayode Obaka has already registered before or has passed through this system and should be detected by the system. If those are the areas I think the media should shed more light on, so that this kind of bulletin by NUC will not distract us from the main agenda, which is a very critical matter. Because we must ensure that we defend the integrity of education that whoever individual Nigerians get within Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. Very, very important.
Just one last question here now is the fact that, as you began by saying, that about 10 to 15,000 students in some of these countries, their certifications are at stake now, and all of that. So, and the federal government, of course, has put its foot down. It's going to widen its net and to try to get some of these things done. So, the question that I'd like to ask you is, what are the considerations that you would recommend for the federal government to make, particularly for genuine students?
With genuine interest, yes. That's why I say that we should be focused on these responsible citizens who are there with the right intention to pursue tertiary education, which we know that we need to first look at the cause of the problem. Do we have the right academic environment in Nigeria to accommodate all these numbers that we're showing out from secondary schools every year? The JAMB issue is something that we need to look into as well. In Ghana, for instance, there is every university reserves the right to, the admission process. Once you pass WASI, you proceed to the individual admission process of the institution. And that has been quite effective. Some of the people that probably failed JAMB here will go to Ghana and do well. University of Cape Coast, for instance, as well, in Nigeria, had almost 6 awards from the medical field about 2-3 years ago. Cleared about 6 out of 14 awards there as a Nigerian. That individual might have been struggling over there in Nigeria, who could not even access there, and is doing well today. So the point is that we need to look in what I said earlier. I said we should be more introspective. The situation at that very unfortunate situation has given us the avenue to be more responsible with our agenda as a nation, agenda setting of the Ministry of Education, and find a solution to how we can widen the net. Look at the individuality of these institutions to be more independent, so that they can be able to manage the admission process widely, and look into this of JAMB question. If JAMB is really needed or not, looking forward.
That's another conversation altogether.
Entirely.
We'll have to thank you so much for your perspectives today. Kayode Abubakar is a former president of the National Association of Nigerian Students in Ghana. He is a UCC alumnus and also Accra Business School. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much.
We're back right after now to take on another issue. Do stay with us.
All right, welcome back. We're turning our attention now to the probe that is going on with several agencies now. CIPA, an agency under Humanitarian Affairs, wherein we've got the former minister, Omar Farouk, being invited by the AFCC. We also do have the former, I don't know to call her former now, she's been suspended at the moment for CIPA. And then you also have that allegation being linked to the CBN governors, all of them in the eye of the storm, just facing so many questions from officials, even from Nigerians. Well, this morning we have here with us Mr. Jacob Pele, who is the CEO and founder, TAF Africa. He's also an inclusive development expert. Thank you for coming on. Good morning.
Thank you, Chamberlain, and good morning, Nigerians.
It appears this is so much for several people to take at the same time. It's just coming out almost in reckless abandon, all of these allegations over time concerning what happened in the last government. And this, some of them, at least, came close to some sort of dealings with you on this matter. What do you think of this?
Well, I think, Chamberlain, we have entered the 2004, ushered us into the era of corruption exposure. And this one is very explosive. I think I'd like to take a deep dive from the foundation of Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, because my Bible have never been wrong. It said that when the foundation is faulty, you know, the building can't stand. So I think Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is one ministry that I know, there may be others, that is not founded based on the acts that every other MDAs are founded. You know, it's a ministry that is established by mere
exigencies.
Pronunciation. The president, former President Buhari pronounced, "Oh, we want this ministry." It was purposeful. It was a ministry that should serve her purpose. But unfortunately, the very first person who headed that ministry, as far as I'm concerned, in my personal opinion, Farouk Din seems to have a clear-cut direction of what she wanted to do. And so it was a free-for-all. And whenever you don't seem to have a focus on what you want to achieve, this is usually the outcome. And it's painful because all of this money should have gone to the poor and the marginalized members of the society. I think the disability community was not served, you know, effectively served during her tenure.
So what they were served to some extent? Why use the word effectively?
Well, I would say effectively because you can't write her off completely. I mean, she's human. There may be some aspect that she tried to do well, but by all performance indicators.
So what is it that was not exactly clear when, I imagine, they reached out to you? So what was shady or not too clear about the entire...
Well, it will take me back to the COVID-19 when he put up a purported committee and asked me to chair it. And I gave her my condition. And the condition was, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to serve the community, but I don't want any allowance. I don't want to be paid. And none of my members will be paid. I think that sent a sort of a lightning to her and her entire staff, and that was the end. The very day it was talked about, that was the end of it. And the next time she was on television, live television, saying that, oh, she made me the chairman, but I didn't, I wasn't holding meetings or something like that. But that was not true. I gave my condition, and they didn't give me a word. They didn't give me a letter to say, yes, we're going to stick to that. But that's not where we're going. We're talking about huge sums of money.
So did that committee eventually...
We never sat one day.
Not one day?
Not one day. Not one day. Not under my leadership. There may be other purported, you know.
Do you know if anybody else chaired that committee and went on with different things?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge, and I stand to be corrected, you know. But, you know, it's very painful, painful in the sense that these are huge resources that would have bettered the lives of the most vulnerable in our society. And it's totally, absolutely being mismanaged, you know. The allegation could be true, but it's so staggering. And Chamberlain, the problem is when you have multiplicity of program without direction, this is what you get. Either you become fraudulent or the people around you become fraudulent. So, you had things like farmers' money, traders' money, market women money, Empower, and all sorts of program that, as far as I'm concerned, it was more or less like a conduit pipe.
Did you get any documents when you were approached saying, this is your objective, this is what we want to achieve?
No. There was not even terms of reference. It was herself and her team seeing me in the room. I think they wanted to take advantage of the little...
So it wasn't a formal meeting when you were invited to discuss this?
There was a formal meeting, Chamberlain, but seeing me in the room and some of the other members of the community, they said, okay, look, you chair the committee. And I said, no problem, I can do that. And this is as it relates to the palliative. Over $500 million was invested. And I didn't see any members of the community who came to me to say that they benefited from most of the things, especially the cash transfer. The cash transfer was an absolute sham, as far as I'm concerned. You know,
Mr. Kwala, we've had, when this administration came in, there was that news at one time that broke where they said the social register was a mess.
That was our project. And that shouldn't have been.
South Africa for
project? No, that was her project.
Project.
Yeah, the ministry.
The social register was a mess. And they're going to look at how to rework it, to revisit it and work it out so that it's clearer. I know the current minister has all actually delved into that real deep, but that's not what we're looking at. You started out by saying that this ministry, in your opinion, is like the only ministry without an act backing it. But it was more or less like a special purpose vehicle.
Yes.
So if it's a special purpose vehicle, and you being that you're so interested in
the critical stakeholder,
critical stakeholder, is there something you could have done at that time? Maybe with hindsight, is there something you could have done differently?
You know, one, when you're not in government, you don't have a voice. And when they see you that you're vocal, they avoid you. Throughout our tenure, I didn't have access to her, and I don't know how many.
Just to clarify, were you seeking access to her for your personal gain or what?
For what? For what? Not in this world. For what? What gain? What will she give me? I don't bargain with people who have resources that they can't account for it. So my interest was to get the ministry to work with the community of persons with disability, not even my organization. My interest was to get the ministry to work with the community of persons with disability, and I tried to reach out. I wrote several letters, they never replied me, but that's not the point. It's not about me, it's not about my organization, it's about the community of persons with disability. How well were they served? With all that money, nothing was done. I mean, it's not only the community of persons with disability, the school feeding program was a sham.
Was the community captured in the social register?
The what?
Was the community
captured
in the register?
They tried to do that, but I can tell you it wasn't efficient, it wasn't effective, it wasn't excellent. It was not. And that's why the governors proved somebody like us who were critic of what they were doing right.
So how were they captured into that register, the community?
Well, there were some skeletal survey that they embarked upon. And like I said, the surveys are expensive. They're expensive process. And if you don't invest money into it, If you bring people who are stooges and who are trying to front you, you're going to get a shoddy job. All right? If you look at all the instruments that are available out there, some of them are for free. It is easy to mine data and get accurate data. And they were just playing with money and playing with the program, and nothing concrete and good came out of it. Proof. The governor said that they can't trust the data from the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. That's why the money and the palliatives for the fuel subsidy were given to them, you know. And that also has its own issues, because the same governors turned around and tried to use what Federal Ministry of Humanitarian have done. So there's a total, I hope that Betta is listening. There is a need to overhaul that ministry. You know, it's been like a position or a place for scammers. You know, look at what happened in Sudan. You know, all the funds that were injected into that evacuation, let them come out. I think if President Tinubu is serious, let him probe virtually all the ministries and the ministers under Buhari. Why are they afraid to do that? Why are they afraid to do that?
Why do you think they're afraid to do it?
I don't know. Political interest.
No. Why does it come across to you as though they are afraid?
It could be political interest.
No, but I'm asking. No, I'm not saying they are afraid. I'm not validating. I'm asking, why do you think they are afraid?
If they are not, they should have done something better. I mean, how long do you have to wait this long for ministries like Humanitarian? I was one of the people that said that this ministry needs to be probed, and several other ministries. Aviation is there. You know, I understand the EFCC that has been able to take in or maybe investigating 3 ministries. That's a far cry from the reality.
So, but right now the EFCC has invited the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs.
Well,
disaster management.
And
while she's going into the EFCC to answer questions, she's expected today. She had reached out to them to give her time, so she's expected today. Hopefully we'll get that on the news as well. But while that's happening, you also talked about the current Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. You've had meetings.
Yes, I've met with Beth.
And would you say,
well, a stand-up meeting?
Yeah, based on what you just said earlier about what you should do different. Are you not seeing something different?
I think based on what she's saying, I think she has some very concrete, purposeful sense of direction. If she continues that way, you know. But then she needs to be careful, because if she takes on the same strategy, follow the same process, imbibe on the same principle that her predecessor did, she's going to end up like her.
Let's look at it this way. So she has, for instance, the president has given them all mandate. They all have KPIs and they have to deliver. They give 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year. They have what do you call it, timelines with which to work with. But they say, soldier go, soldier come, barracks day.
Oh, yeah.
The ministers change, but the ministry itself remains, and the civil servants who have been there are still there.
Are still there.
So what do you think will be done differently?
If I am, unfortunately, I'm not, either by color or by pedigree, I'm not better. But if I'm in her shoes, first of all, I would take a deep dive into all the lingering program that she has inherited. Come on. When we're all in school, primary school, secondary school, and I think the university does it, there's always a period of revision. Revise the vision. Go back to the drawing board. It is great leadership tactics to say that this thing is not working, I'm not going to go with it. Scrap it. So there are too many programs that is under humanitarian ministry. Many of them are moribund. Several of them are not effective. If I'm in her shoes, I will take a deep dive and scrutinize all those programs, you know, and see what works and what doesn't work. There are several segments. There are about 6 different parastatals under our ministry. You know, I would do a proper need assessment, a proper strategic focus on all of those people and see what they are doing. Many could be working at cross purposes, you know, and several of them are wasting taxpayers' money. It is very, very sad that my little allowance that I get, I pay tax on it, and yet people are going home and squandering the poor people's taxpayers' money.
These investigations happening is mind-boggling to a lot of people already.
Exactly.
But you then say that these ones are a far cry from reality.
It is.
What makes you say that?
Oh yeah, because there are several others that have not been unaided. You know, what happened to over 500 and something thousand, 500 and something, I think it's 500 and something million dollars that World Bank invested in several, especially the cash transfer. What happened to the purported feed these children
school feeding program?
Yes, that they alleged that they were doing while we were on lockdown. There was no school. There was no school, Chamberlain. This is appalling. It's disgraceful, you know, and yet people like that are walking around freely. I mean, I'm not preempting whatever, you know, let her go there and clear herself. But it is mind-boggling, the kind of figures that are coming. And EFCC confirmed it, that there are more to come. 31.7 billion is a far cry to several other money that was squashed. The Empower money, of course you notice that there was a time that the Empower staff were virtually on strike, you know, saying that they were not paying them when they were claiming they were paying them. I think there was a time that President Buhari openly queried this same woman, you know, on the way and manner she was handling some of the people. And, you know, the thing about public servants, you know, this attitude of transferring blame, saying I'm not responsible, you know, I understand that as soon as this broke, they were saying, oh, she left money for Beta, and Beta is saying, oh, I didn't. I mean, this is crazy. Well, don't we have forensic auditors that can go into some of these people and their personal account and get this money? If we get all the money that these political thieves have stolen from this country, I guarantee you we don't have any need to go for loan.
I think the story was published in August 2020, which was talking about the 500 million that they spent during lockdown. I think they said cumulative 523.3 million that was spent during coronavirus lockdown.
Exactly.
So you're asking more questions.
Were children in school then? Were children in school?
All right.
The same way that they were claiming they transferred, cash transferred to persons with disability, I didn't see up to 10 people that received it.
But some received. Did you see some that received?
Well, some said they got. And I don't want to also quote anybody, but there is shrouded in mystery. Some got money, and eventually some people went behind, took some of them, and I'll say it, took some of them from them and gave them half. This is crazy. And crazy people like this should not be in office.
Well, I wonder if those people were willing to come forward and speak that they took half. They only received half.
I'll be more than happy. I'll be more than happy. Well, I can.
We'll make that happen.
Research that. I can research
and see how we can help the country get to the bottom of all of this matter. Let's bring in Ayo. He's got questions for you as well.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. You know, one of the things that questions that comes to my mind about this issue is, well, I mean, the reference you're making, Sefere, is that of some form of complicity. In the wake of this administration, particularly at the federal level, there were talks by the governors that the list, the social registers beneficiary list, is faulty. Do you see any kind of complicity with the states? Because the expectation was that for anyone in any part of the country to benefit, they needed to go use a particular list, you know. But from the last we heard, the governors faulted the list, but then they have received some resources from the federal government to distribute to their people. Do you see any form of complicity in all this matter?
It's funny because Ministry of Humanitarian actually did most of the data gathering, which to me wasn't accurately done. I can tell you that because there were instruments, it wasn't very transparent. There were some people that called us from states, they were not captured, you know, and timeline was given that was not realistic, you know. So there's no doubt that the governors faulted it, but also that governor's fault or finding fault in that process has also its political undertone because it was given as an excuse for them to get the palliative, in my personal opinion. But however, this is what happens when you use quacks, when the methodology is not professional, when the outcome wasn't predicted before you go into it. This is exactly what happens. So you get, when you use quacks in carrying out an assignment, you will get fictitious quack result that lacks integrity. And that's what happens. You know, there's a need to further interrogate all of that process, you know, clean up the register, or if possible, abandon it and start all over again. That's what happened when people come into a genuine project that they would have done with good intention. When you have that myopic tendencies that all you want is for yourself, this is the kind of result you get. You never get. Now, I think also it's important to go back to the books and find out which organization did what. And you can bring in experts and they look at and interrogate what they have done. If it's not professional, get them back to do it at their own cost. That's what professionalism is all about, and we shouldn't neglect that.
It's interesting that you talked about the political undertones to this conversation, Mr. Pella, because one would expect that since the initiative is coming from the federal government to have a national social register, the states themselves should play a pivotal role. We've had conversations with someone who was deputy director in the office of the social, that's involved with this social program of the federal government. And he talked about the process through which they went through all of these. And he talked about the fact that even though it was a World Bank funded program, it was in the office of the vice president, and they were very, very methodical to the point of going as low as the local government levels and the ward levels to select. And it wasn't they that selected, it was the people in the environment that said this person is poorer than this person, and so consequently they should be on those registers. So I'm wondering what you think we should do. I'm trying to look forward right now. The investigation ongoing, I mean, you've spoken to. Because, okay, maybe I should ask you first of all, do you think that initiative is something that we need now? I mean, having a national social register as opposed to a state social register, so that if there's going to be a monitoring system, it should be at the federal level, but the instrument of intervening in people's lives should be at the state's level.
Exactly. I mean, let's stop playing this dichotomy between state and national. If we do something nationally, states are inclusive. States are referred to as the subnational, so they're part and parcel of it. You know, but let me take you back to history. When this whole process was domiciled in the office of the vice president, then vice president, Professor Yemi, who I know is very thorough and methodical in the way he does his things, you know, They were on stream. They were doing well. Here's where the problem happened. When the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs saw it, again, I can tell you from my personal opinion, a conduit pipe, they took it over without understanding the methodology, without knowing the process, without concrete relationship with those that have been given the job to do. Some of them, they had to sack some people, change them. Of course, when money couldn't exchange hands, they dismissed some of the contractors that were working on this thing, brought in new people, okay? So the ministry did not follow the trajectory. They did not follow the process. They didn't understand the professional methodology that the Office of the Vice President has introduced. Yeah, so Farouk inherited it, took it over, and today is totally messed up. There is a redemption. There's always a redemption. I don't like to talk about problems without a solution. There is a cleanup process that can happen. I mean, with the little meager resources we had, we were able to support INEC to mine data of persons with disability, although it wasn't holistic. And currently we're working on getting a national register of persons with disability. Is a work in progress. So going forward, there's a need to interrogate that register. There's a need to look at what works, what didn't work. There's also a need to find funding partners who are willing to support the process and give us something credible, something that we can, that is inclusive, something that we can beat our chest to say, yes, we do have a truly inclusive national register, and social register. So it is possible. It is possible.
Do you see
if we
a
are
chance?
willing to do it, and if the right people.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Bello, do you see a situation where politics will be removed totally from that process? Do you see a complete, is it possible to have a completely depoliticized national social investment system in our country?
Nothing is impossible. It is absolutely possible. But let me tell you why it may not work. The politicians have their hands in the pie. They're interested in that number because they know it might pay them politically to have that information. You know, it's important to underscore and underpin here that, listen, data is life. Where in any country, in any program, where you have accurate data, you will have accurate planning, you will have accurate execution, and you will have accurate outcome. It is possible to take politics away from it, but will the politicians allow us to depoliticize this process, which will add to our economy? It will add to our social status. It will add to our political status. It will add to our spiritual status if we know the numbers, and those numbers are disaggregated, and those numbers are accurate and credible. I am ashamed to quote some of the numbers that, they say, persons with disability were 35.5 million. There is no accurate record. We are 31.1 million. There is no accurate record. Quote me on that. The record that they were quoting were something that I think UNESCO or UNICEF did years back. That's not the accurate number, you know. So there's a need to further, don't give up on the process, interrogate it, you understand. Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs better seems to act strategically, you understand. This is when to move strategically. Don't give up on the system. You can correct the rot if you're willing to stand straight.
Mr. Pele, the question that Ayo asked, let me piggyback on that one, where you talked about the state, and I know you said we should take out the dichotomy, but we see that the closest government to the people is the local government, and then you go up from there. We also know that, there's news out there that the president, festive period, we talked about it earlier, was going to send the first rice to the locals, and he thought to use the legislators who are closer representing the people. What if these kind of interventions from that ministry are taken from that level. I mean, from the local government, even from the representative. Wouldn't that make a difference?
Absolutely.
So what do you think is stopping this or not? And
again, the dishonest, not all politicians are dishonest. Not all politicians are crooked, okay? But there are some crooked people that is looking at a system that can benefit them, and they manipulate it to the barest minimum.
Maybe you say benefit them excessively.
Excessively, exactly. You understand? So okay, Ayo, let me say this, my dear brother. Your channel carried it. I went back to my village because my king has said, oh, you're doing everything in the national unit. I went back to my village, took my little savings, put it in an envelope, and I distributed to all the old women and all that. It was on your, yes, you understand. I'm not saying that to blow my trumpet, but little things at the grassroots can make a difference if truly and really we want to do it. Now tell me, please bring any of those legislators to your show that has pictures, videos of the distribution of rice. Some of them may, but many of them did not. It became a political tool, a tool to further enhance their credibility. Many of them don't have in their constituency, you know. And so I think the earlier this government realized that, hey, we need to take politics away from truly creating an intervention with a social safety net, the better for this government.
All right, so what do you think about this ongoing probe about CBN?
I think Emefiele deserves exactly what he's getting, to be honest with you, because he messed up a lot of financial process and principles as CBN governor. I think, for me, he was the worst CBN governor. And he should be made to refund everything that he has stolen if we prove it in court. Because that's always the case. They say, oh, go to court, you know. But it's appalling.
You know,
and I think the current CBN governor should take note of
in the last government. Remember the back and forth that went on between the then Minister of the Attorney General, Malami, and the then EFCC chair, Magu, about recovered loot, as it were. So should we worry this time about any of these things ending up in the wrong places?
Well, Chamberlain, let me not sound a pessimistic tone. Remember the Abacha loot. Most of them went into COVID intervention and feed the school. They ate all the money, you know.
No, but some of them were supposed to channel towards Lagos-Ibadan Expressway.
Exactly. Have you seen
the bridge in the southeast?
Have you gone? Yes, the bridge. Yes, the bridge has always been in the budget. It's not. It's just to cushion the effect of inflationary trend and all that. But however, the truth is, this president can find true, honest Nigerians that wants to do this work and give Nigerians the result that they deserve. If and only he wants to do it. There are still Nigerians who would stand up for what is right, do what is right, irrespective of whoever is on their way.
All right, so Uncle, at that point, Mr. Jacob Pella is the founder and CEO, TAF Africa, also inclusive development expert
and political analyst.
I'm trying to wrap that part.
That's all right. Too much titles entangles sometimes.
Okay, that's why they're asking you for palliatives in the village now. But thank you for coming on. All the best to you.
Thank you, Chamberlain. Congratulations on your movement of time. I think it's very, very good. And thank you, John, for being there for the marginalized. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
As well. So we're back in a moment. Join us again.
Stay connected to the world with Channels TV Podcast. and get all the trending stories. Simply log on to channelstv.com, click on podcast, select the program of your choice, and listen. Our podcast is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Tap the expertise you trust. Touch the stories that touch you. Anytime, anywhere. Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television, ubiquitous.
Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Yes, we'll do talking about Nasarawa at this point in time. We're joined by the Commissioner of Police in Nasarawa State, Umar and her father. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program here today. Well, some developments in the state which had been on recently. We had that of the local government area. We also had that of the Deputy Governor's convoy, which the state handled. First, could you tell us what's the update that we have now on that unfortunate accident that occurred in the convoy of the Deputy Governor where some lives were lost? Any further developments on that? Can you tell us?
Well, that was an old issue. But the development is that all those that had hands on that attack arrested and then prosecuted.
Okay, so what about the local government chairman? Because yes, he was abducted. After a while, he was then released. And we, of course, journalists will ask about whether or not ransom were paid and what is the state doing, advising people in terms of how they need to conduct themselves to avoid falling into the hands of these persons?
Well, the issue of the local government chairman, he was abducted, and due to sustained pressure from the search party, we were able to organize local vigilante that's doing the conventional personnel, and we were able to comb the whole bush, and due to sustained pressure from us, they were able to release, and no ransom was.
So did the police get any intel before he was kidnapped?
Yes.
I'm sorry, we missed that part of, could you say that again? I think it came in broken. Was there any intel?
I couldn't get you very well.
Did the police get any intelligence before he was kidnapped?
No. It was only after the kidnap we were able to get the information kidnapped, and were able to mobilize and entered into the forest. And due to sustained pressure, like I said, we were able to rescue. And that was what happened.
So when these kind of things happen, does the police sit back and review scenario and ask themselves, Why didn't we get an intel? What could we have done differently? Did you do that, and what did you come up with?
Yes, definitely. We have been liaising with the force headquarters, and we have very intelligent and good information concerning their movement, and we are trailing them. Very soon, we'll get them arrested.
You know, Mr. Nafada, the job that you have to do is a very sensitive one. So let's ask, how much of intel do you get from the citizens? For instance, around that armed robbery incident that happened recently at that supermarket, how much of intel were you getting from the residents around there?
Well, what I have for the residents is they should cooperate with us. We cannot do it alone. But police, other security agencies cannot do it alone. Everybody has to contribute. Security is everybody's business. And everybody has to come in to agree to securing the streets.
Are you implying that you're not getting cooperation from the citizens around there?
We have been getting cooperation from them. We need more cooperation from them so that secure the streets.
But you do know that the residents and citizens of Nigeria are concerned about how promptly that the security agencies, especially the police, act on the information they get. How promptly do you act on the information that you're given by citizens?
We always act promptly to all information that is us. And that was why the issue of the local government chairman too, we acted promptly and he was released within 24 hours. No stay with the kidnappers up to 24 hours was released.
So what has the command done differently now? Because I know that some time ago, the governor raised an alarm and concern about attacks on farmers in 6 Nasarawa local government areas. He wanted a lot more to be done. How did the police address that?
That's why we have been doing much on it. The state governor, already there has been an existing mechanism on dispute resolution in all the local government areas affected, those local government areas you mentioned, both at the state, local government, and village level. And that one has helped us a lot, and we have not been recording cases of farmers' hardest clashes in those areas.
So could you talk a little more about that? Because several communities too have farmers and herders, killings and attacks. What did you do so that they can also see if they could borrow a leaf from you?
Well, we have been doing much on it, and we always have meetings with relevant stakeholders, particularly the leaders of both the farmers and the herders, traditional rulers and community leaders. And they have been cooperating with us very well, and definitely we are getting somewhere.
Tell us, why is it that, and this is a question that we, all the time, we see that happen. Why is it that the police usually find it challenging and difficult to respond to distress calls in good time?
Sorry, I couldn't get it.
Why is it that the police find it difficult to respond to distress calls quickly?
Sometimes the issue of terrain, undulating terrain at times hinders movement of police, and that is one of the things that is affecting.
What are the others? Apart from terrain, what else?
Then sometimes the mobility, the executive governor of Nasarawa State has been trying, and he has been assisting the police and other security agencies with vehicles, motorcycles, so that we can access those areas that are not accessible.
So, what do you think needs to be done, and by who, to ensure that, for instance, Nasarawa State Police Command, of which you are in charge, are able to respond to distress calls quickly?
Yes, we have been responding to distress calls, but we still need more motorcycles and more vehicles for us to move effectively. Even though, like I said, there is undulating terrain at times, inaccessible roads, but with motorcycles, we'll be able to reach to all those areas that are not accessible.
Yeah. Go on, please.
So we also call on the state government. They have done much, and like Oliver Twist, we are still asking for more, so that we have mobility. They have already provided communication. All the 39 divisions in the state have been linked with communication gadgets. Office of the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, and we have been using it effectively.
What will be your ideal time frame to respond to a distress call? How many minutes?
We respond to distress call. It depends on the terrain. If it is within the city, in 5 minutes we are there.
In 5 minutes?
In 5 minutes.
Commissioner, people don't remember when you've answered any distress call in 5 minutes. When was that?
I said within the city, in 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, we are already there. There is no distress call that will last more than 10 minutes. Minimum is 5 minutes, and the maximum is 10 minutes.
When in recent time has the State Police Command responded to any distress call in a city in 5 minutes? Which location? Which scenario?
The one that was that happened around Old Barracks, Kefi. That one within 10 minutes, police were there. There was an incident that happened at Old Barracks, very close to Kefi, and there was a distress call, and within 10 minutes, police were already there, and we were able to respond promptly.
Within 10 minutes?
It's amazing. Mr. Nafada said, first he said 5 minutes, and when you asked the question further, he moved it to 5 to 10 minutes. So if we go back to him again, he might move it further down to.
So depending on the location.
But no, the key phrase is within the city center. 5 to 10 minutes. I'm sure if we push again, it might increase to 5 to 20 minutes. We do appreciate what they're doing. And honestly, the police, the security agencies and operatives, they are doing what they know to do as much as they can with the resources they have around them. But we think they can do a little bit more when it comes to interaction with the people. And that's one of the questions we asked earlier about that response and how much time or how much of confidence have the people gotten in them. When he says we act promptly, and then he now says 5 to 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes is not prompt.
Well, I guess he will.
He's back now.
He will shed a lot more light on that. So perhaps maybe that's a good one to get.
Mr. Nafada, if you're, are you back now? Can you hear us? Okay, we would get back to Mr. Nafada. Really, the relationship between the police and the people is one thing that a lot of people are asking that, please, can we work on this? First of all, they are not living amongst us, so they don't really understand how we live. They live in a barracks, and in some climes, the police live amongst the people, so they're able to relate and see where the people are coming from. And so when the people say, hello, officer, I'm seeing some strange movement here, because you live around them, you can understand when he says, on this street, there's a strange movement. Mr. Nafada, the question we want to ask is about your interaction with the citizens again. You've talked about your response time, 5 to 10 minutes, as far as within the city center, and depending on the terrain as well. But how well is that relationship with the people that you say you want information from? Because many will tell you, we have some who are sending in comments here that they don't have confidence enough in the police to want to give in, to divulge information? Because they're not sure the police will even act on it.
Well, they should be rest assured that whatever information they give from them properly. And we have already, the command has already built between the staff and the citizen. And they have that trust in us, they always call us, and whatever information they give, that's most confident.
Okay, that you said earlier about your response time is 5 to 10 minutes. Are we sure it's 5 to 10 minutes and you will not change it to maybe 5 to 20 minutes?
No, I'm sure it's 5 to 10 minutes within the city, depending on the location.
Okay, so there's still that condition of location within the city, depending on the location. Thank you, Mr. Nafada. But hold on, my colleague Ayo would have some questions for you. Ayo.
Well, thank you, Nyota. One question, rose in my mind when you talked about the fact that you didn't get intel on time before the abduction. The natural question on my mind is what the role of the DSS should have been in that regard. We understand they are spread all over the nation, across all 774 local government areas of the country. And if you didn't get that intel before the abduction, it means maybe someone wasn't doing their job, or perhaps the information come and it wasn't acted upon on time. Can you shed some light on that? You may have muted, Mr. Nafada. We can't hear you. Okay. Can you hear me now, Mr. Nafada? Well, the question, if you can hear me, and perhaps my colleagues can reiterate for you, is that the DSS ought to play a role in ensuring that intel gets to the police for action. So if, according to you, you didn't get the information before the abduction happened and you only got the information after the abduction, it only hints that maybe some officer who was supposed to give the information to you from the DSS was unable to get the information to you, or was not available to get the information, and consequently we were let down in that regard. Can you shed some light on that? What happened in that regard? Well, Jimbalene and Nyota, this looks like Mr. Nafada cannot hear me, but maybe you can put the question to him.
Okay, Mr. Nafada, I'm not sure if you can hear me, though. Okay, now that's not from Mr. Nafada, that will be from here. So we'll sort that out. Okay, let's see if we can just drop out. Can you hear us, Mr. Nafada? What happened just now? It's okay. I think he's a bit frozen, but we'll see if we can sort that out. Just one more thing before we go from him. Let's double check if you can hear us again just before we wrap this up. Can you hear us now?
I hear you now.
Okay, so could you tell us then that there was a robbery incident in the state, and I think the command, we saw a statement about an investigation. Some lives were lost, unfortunately. What is the update you have on that matter?
Well, there was an arrest made yesterday, and the police head of CID getting that matter. Suspects have been handed over to him this morning, and I think we are getting someone's aims. Two suspects have been arrested, and we are in.
All right. We'll have to thank you for talking to us this morning, Mr. Umar Nafada, Commissioner of Police in Nasarawa. So thank you, and we wish you and your team all the best.
Thank you very much.
All right. So we'll be back and talk about some of the activities that happened during the week, and that will be coming up with Lalu Akonde in a moment. back to Sunrise Daily. So, Lalo Akode joins us here today, and the introduction for him changes because I'm not going to refer to him as the anchor of Inside Sources.
The inside man.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, and thank you for coming on today.
Always good to be here.
How's the experience been with the Inside Sources, though?
Very exciting. I think that we're getting quite a bit of traction with the conversations that we started, trying to have a conversation generally about the future of Nigeria. And we've spoken to two former governors, Governor Bisi Akande and then Governor Yerima. And today, we will be speaking with the very courageous Power Edwin Clark. And next week, we'll be having the former president, Ibrahim Babangida. And we intend to have more of the leaders, but not just political leaders. We hope to also bring in leaders from other sectors to talk about, the future of this country. It's a very important subject.
How do you get people respond, say, what does Ladu want to say now? I mean, how do you get response from people? How you tell them?
Well, it's a conversation, with the leaders, so it's not so much, on the talk show, it's not so much about my own views. Of course, there is a place, my take, which is how we hope on the program. But we want to focus more on having a conversation with these leaders. And like I said, we want to draw leaders from all sectors to come and talk about the future of Nigeria. So and it's an exciting subject for everybody. We all believe that this country is meant to be great, So it's important to have, that ongoing conversation on what next we need to do to take it there.
What about those who say, but if they watch you and they see you going on the air and sometimes they see that part of your take, do you get them say, but wait a minute, I told him some things in confidence. I hope he's not going to... Do they worry about those kind of things?
Well, you must understand that I'm a journalist with 34 years experience. And one of the things that you must know as a journalist, if you're a successful one, is that you have to protect your sources. But your sources are also interested. The reason they give you information is because they want some of those information out for the betterment of society, for the public interest. So it's part of the game. As a journalist, you have to know how to balance, the protection of your source and the advancement of public interest. But the most important thing is that this information needs to go out. We need to put the information out both for the people who are in government and for the people themselves, the people who are governed, to have a balanced interaction that will help us to push our developmental agenda forward and further.
Excuse me.
That's some tea, water.
Yeah, okay, I'll be fine. The choice of the inside sources and then the guest you've had so far, I was just thinking about it. I was like, inside sources. And see the people you've spoken to and the ones you're going to speak to. What are you drawing from them? We talk about it's for the future, but what are you drawing from these people?
Well, so you're going to see that a lot of the people that we will be bringing, a lot of them, not in all cases, a lot of them have a story to tell about what role they have played in the past. And because of the roles that they have played in the past, they have an insight that is often not well known. The fact that you be in government or you be in leadership position in certain sectors, even outside politics, gives you a unique insight that most people are not aware. So Inside Sources wants to bring those insights that are important, that can enrich the conversation so that we have a more robust engagement and interaction between the people and the people in government. And that's the whole idea of Inside Sources, to bring what is inside, the insider information that people don't always pay attention to, that can actually transform things. And one of the things that we have said here is that it's important for us to increase the level of transparency and to increase the level of accountability. We need to bring certain information out, and people need to know that those information is meant to empower them. You've heard the saying, so information is power.
Yeah. So that, talking about accountability, we had Commissioner of Police, and indeed, with all that they're doing, we really do appreciate their efforts, putting out their lives for our safety.
Yeah.
He talked about the time for response, and there was I noticed you kind of like almost flinched when he talked about the time frame for their response. And although he insisted that within a certain limit, and certain environment, that time frame stands 5 to 10 minutes. Do you think it's workable?
Well, I think that in my own view, the major problem about the Nigerian security architecture are two things, in my view. First of all, I don't think that there is enough investment, especially in the police. I don't think there's enough investment. And I don't know, I'm still trying to investigate it myself to be able to put my finger on exactly what the problem is. Is it that the money is going out and it's not getting there, or is it that the money is not going out enough? That's a big part of the issue. The second part for me is that we have to take the question of state police seriously. You said it when you were asking in the question about the fact that people need to, you need security people who know the terrain. We have come to a point in this country where we need to take the idea of state police very, very seriously. But we have not. We have not. We need people who are invested in the communities, people who are living in the communities, people whose own fortunes also depend on what happens, to be the one in charge. It is becoming very laborious and difficult to have one force in Abuja controlling the whole country. It has shown very clearly that it is not working, even though you have some of the best people in charge of it. But that structure needs to change. We need to talk frankly about state policing, and I think we're getting close to it because hey, look at the fact that the problem of insecurity continues. It's as if nothing is happening, and I know that a lot is being done, but we need to do the right thing, and I think state police is the beginning of it.
Speaking about the money, investigations are going on with different people. The former CBN governor, former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development, and then CIPA CEO. So all of those living Nigerians asking so many questions as to, wow, with this, who knows which other department? What else should we expect? You kept tabs. You've seen some of these scenarios. How did they hit you when you saw it?
Yeah, the one that really breaks my heart is the social investment program. This was a very noble concept that was developed, actually before 2015, but of course when APC won, it was being implemented. And I had the privilege of working with a vice president who actually pioneered that program from 2016 to 2019. And as you all recollect, the program under the presidency there had a lot of, got a lot of accolades globally and nationally. So it breaks my heart, that the whole thing is being, turned to shreds in shambles. It's very heartbreaking because these things can be done well and can be done properly. I think it was Ayo that was raising the question that is it possible to have a social investment program without politics? That was exactly what happened between 2016 and 2019. As a matter of fact, some of the programs were launched. When we launched the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, it was launched in Anambra, a PDP state. It didn't matter whether you voted for the party in power or not. It was a program that was designed for everybody. And it was working very, very well until 2019 when they started.
What do you think went wrong? I mean, wasn't there the handover of the data, whatever information they had onto our ministry from the presidency?
I think, and I'm going to be very frank about this, I think the major thing that went wrong was the leadership of the program since after 2019. Because you had people who pioneered this program, who developed it, who did it in such a way that they earned international plaudits. And then you took it away from them, brought in people who had no idea whatsoever, even people who had no previous notable public service experience. And then you enlarged the ministry, put in more responsibilities to people who have no experience. And I don't apologize about this because it is the future, it's the fortune of Nigeria that was completely messed up with. And that is why it's heartbreaking that this social investment program has become something that everybody is just throwing apart as if it's a nonsensical thing, something that was noble. For the first time in the history of this country, we had a budget that focused on the ordinary people. So and now the whole thing is messed up.
Didn't FEC see all of this at the time?
Well, there are a lot of things that happened that I don't even think that we have the time to get into it now. But the point is that the decision to take away the management of that program from where it was in 2016 to 2019 was a wrong decision.
Well, you never know. You might get some details on inside sources. Some insiders might break some scenarios there the days ahead. You just never know. I just got questions too.
Well, yeah, thank you, Kimberly. Well, two questions that I'll put to you, but let me quickly follow up on that question. Perhaps even ask you, Mr. Akonde, the same question. Do you think the social investment program of the government should be depoliticized, and how? I mean, you said it. It was the thing that operated back then. Apparently, there were no strong enough structures to sustain it, its depoliticization before or subsequently after 2019. So, how should we go about that depoliticization of that process sustainably?
Thank you, Ayo. It's a very good question because, yes, indeed, it is ideal for such a program to be depoliticized. And this debate even ensued when the program started in 2016 all the way to 2019. A lot of the party hierarchy were saying that, look, I mean, we have to make sure that our own people get in on this program first. And the man who was in charge then, former vice president, insisted and said, no, look, this thing is for all Nigerians, regardless of political affiliation, regardless of whether they voted for the APC or not. That the moment you get into government, you get into government for everybody. So he pushed back on that, and he ensured that the program was available on the same criteria for every Nigerian. And the other thing that happened, Ayo, that I must say is that every payment that was going out from the coffers of the government went directly into the accounts of the beneficiaries. So now we are hearing that the money now comes from the account of government, goes in, sits down for months in a consultant's account, on the excuse that is the place where they're going to share the money. It's all nonsense. This thing has been done and done successfully without any political influence and with clear and open criteria to every deserving Nigerians. And people had the testimonies.
Okay.
And there were international recognitions, the United Nations, in Africa, even locally. We had NGOs who actually looked at the program, assessed the program, and came out with plaudits. It's very heartbreaking, Hayo, that all of that has gone to shreds. Well,
perhaps the question would be thrown to maybe the National Assembly to create some kind of institutional framework or legal framework around it so that it can be a standalone, because it is indeed heartbreaking that something that benefited so many people isn't. Let's go back to inside sources now. I'd like to talk about communication. Some of the people you've spoken with, they have very good understanding of how our systems work and all. And those who have been governors before, those who have occupied one office or the other before. Communication will probably have sustained continuity of some of the initiatives, laudable, that some of them came up with while they were in office. What can you glean, or have you gleaned, or should Nigerians glean in terms of communication for sustainability of amazing initiatives that have come up, are coming up, or will come up for the future of the country, particularly from these government officials that you've spoken with?
Yeah, so very, very good one. So one of the things that I figured out that I'm gleaning from this is that it is important, for people to own some of these programs, some of these initiatives. I'll give you an example. So Chief Bisi Akonde, in the debut of Inside Sources, told us a story of how sometimes in between 1999 and 2003, which was when he was governor of Osun State, of how the Osun State government was building a road comparable to another road that was being built by the federal government. As a matter of fact, he said that they were using the same contractors, the same distance, in the same state. So Osun State government was spending 19 million naira for that road. And the comparable road by the same contractor, done by the federal government, they were spending 84 million naira for the same road. It turns out that within a year or so, the rain swept off the roads that was constructed with the 84 million. And the road that was constructed with much less is still standing today, according to Chief Bisi Akande, and we believe it's true because we have testimonies. So the point is that the people themselves must begin to speak out and own these things. The people need to get more involved. Like somebody said, we cannot leave politics to politicians alone. We shouldn't accept that. Even if people are not going to run for office, they must have a voice. I mean, how can you have that kind of a situation where the same contractor, as a matter of fact, building two different roads, one is almost 100 million, the other is less than 20 million. And then the one that was less than 20 million is the one that is surviving today. The one that was almost 100 million is finished and gone. The people must be the ones to own these things, to take charge, and to say that, look, we are not going to accept this. And that's the whole point that, some of the things that we're trying to achieve with Inside Sources is to bring out those things, is to have this engagement, and is to let people know that the more information you have, the more empowered you become.
Let's give them this information. Inside Sources is now 11:30 Fridays.
Yes, it's now 11:30
So you keep a date with that one. All right, thank you for coming on, Lalu.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's just one message before we wrap it up, and it's from Professor Enahena. He says the economic development and prosperity of Nigeria must evolve through and from the local and state economies to building a federation with a viable and sustainable developed economy whose principles and policies are interdependent in building an entrepreneurial economy that is indigenous. All right, so there you go. That is the show today. We do thank you all for watching. We'll see you, of course, next week. I'm Chamberlain Osof. Goodbye.
And I'm Nell Tagbe. Enjoy your weekend.
Well, just with this one quick one from Festus, guys, since the Friday morning, he just said, how can people appointed to manage the social investment program turn it to social investment problems? It's a question. Amaya Makinde, have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser. Or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television, ubiquitous.
Thank you for staying tuned and a warm welcome to News Track on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka, and these are the stories we're following for you this hour. It's a sad start to the weekend for residents of Kwari in Gaidam local government area of Yobe State following the killing of Pastor Luka Levong, a pastor working with the Church of Christ in Nations, Koking, this morning by suspected Boko Haram insurgents and 5 others in separate attacks. Some Gaidam residents who evacuated the corpses to Specialist Hospital Gaidam told Channels Television that the attackers invaded the community around 2 a.m., killing the pastor and his church treasurer, Mr. Maina Abdullahi. According to them, the other victims were also killed in their houses long before the arrival of security men, while several houses, including one church and vehicles, were also set ablaze. Both the military and the Nigeria Police Force are yet to comment on this incident as at the time of this report. Gaidam local government area of Yobe State is located 177 kilometers away from Damaturu, the state capital, and is about 40 kilometers away from the Nigeria-Niger border.